Hello, everyone. How is everybody doing tonight? We are here again for another live stream. We had a few days there where we were mostly focused on trying to do some coaching. We weren't really streaming, but we are back once again. I apologize for the delay. Guess what? Guess what? Since I recently announced that I'd been on a really screwed up sleep schedule, that has not changed. That has not changed. You can probably tell by the time we're streaming here. Here comes Nova. She's going to look out the window, which hopefully isn't going to be a problem unless she sees a cat. And if she sees a cat, it'll be a very big problem. Hopefully you don't go deaf from the barking. Let's go ahead and get comments pulled up while we wait to see who's going to get first in chat tonight. We've got an interesting subject in store for you tonight. We're going to be talking about how seeking comfort brings discomfort, which is an interesting title. It's an interesting way to put it, but I felt like it was right on par with everything that we talk about here: acceptance, anxiety, the cycle, how second fear, aka worry, just keeps this fuel on the fire. So I like tonight's title, and I think it's going to be an interesting one. Miss Moon, hello, welcome to the stream. First in the stream tonight. It's a little bit chilly. It is a little bit chilly, and I'm starting to realize that as I'm sitting closer to the window now. Let's send out some notifications. It's going to get a little dark in here for just a second, guys. Bear with me. Bear with me. There we go. All right. All you could see was the reflection in my glasses. Sanchez, what's up, dude? Edward, David, Ghost, what's up, Ghost? What time is it for you? I didn't think I would see you in here at this time. I didn't think I would see you in here at this time. How you doing, Sanchez? Good to see you. Good to see you. Welcome. Yeah, so this is going to be an interesting one tonight. I really like the way that we're wording this. I really like the way that we're wording this. How seeking comfort brings discomfort. We're going to talk exactly what that means, and maybe it'll put it into a new perspective for you. Maybe it'll open your eyes, and you'll be like, okay. Okay, now I get what he means by reassurance and coping methods and compulsions. Now I understand, right? So we're always trying to mix things up here. We're always trying to put things in new ways to kind of speak to everybody. What's up, Cade? Day 5 with COVID, so we're getting there. You're getting there, man. Continue to rest. You'll be back on your feet soon. What's up, Mike? Is everybody still pretty much obsessed with Dank Memer over on the Discord? Is that like still an ongoing popular thing? I don't know. I haven't checked mine in like a day or two, so is that still a popular thing? All right, guys. Let's see how many people we got in here. I feel like we can go ahead and get started. Yeah, I feel like we can go ahead and get started. So tonight we're going to be talking about how seeking comfort brings discomfort. Let's talk about it. How seeking comfort brings discomfort. Now, the first thing that most people want to do, right? Now, we've started the stream like this many times before, but the first thing that most people want to do when they're anxious or when they have an intrusive thought that's causing a huge reaction or when they're having all these symptoms, the first thing they want to do is seek some sort of comfort. Now, here's the problem with that. If the first thing you want to do is seek some sort of comfort when you're experiencing anxious symptoms or anxious thoughts, if that's the first thing you want to do, if that's your mindset, right, you are telling the brain indirectly by your desperation for seeking comfort that there is a problem, because you wouldn't be seeking comfort. Now, this is important. You would not be seeking some sort of comfort against these thoughts and feelings if there was not a real danger. Of course, there isn't a real danger, but your brain doesn't know that. So to the brain, when you start desperately seeking some sort of comfort when you experience these thoughts and feelings, the brain is going to say to itself, oh, wow, there must be a problem here. Oh, wow, there must be some sort of danger here. Oh, wow, my person is in trouble. My person is in trouble. My person would not be seeking some sort of desperation, some sort of desperate comfort against these thoughts and feelings if there was not some sort of danger. So there must be some sort of danger. Let's give them more of the anxiety chemicals. Let's give them more of the protection chemicals to save them from whatever this problem is. Because look at them desperately seeking some sort of comfort, right? So there must be some sort of real tiger in the room with my person. This is what the brain is saying. So the brain says, okay, they're desperately seeking comfort. Give them more protection. They need the protection because something is wrong. You get more of the chemicals that are making you seek comfort in the first place. Do you see the paradox? Do you see the cycle here? Do you see why your mindset is, okay, every time I feel anxiety, every time I feel symptoms, every time I feel thoughts, I need to desperately do something about it. I need to seek some sort of comfort, whether that's in the form of gathering all the reassurance that I can, whether that's in the form of worry, oh God, I don't want that thought. I hope that doesn't happen. Oh God, I don't want these feelings. Whether that's in the form of some sort of compulsion or coping method, whatever form that your comfort seeking takes is kind of irrelevant. When you go that comfort seeking route, when you go with that comfort seeking mindset, right, the brain is going to assume danger. The brain is going to assume problem. The brain is going to assume something is wrong, something bad is happening to my person. I need to do my job as the brain and give them more protection chemicals. So you see how we just run around and circle after circle after circle. This is why the mindset has got to change, right? This is why seeking comfort actually brings discomfort. Because the more you seek comfort for these thoughts and these feelings, the more the brain says there must be a problem, so the more discomfort it gives you, right? So it's all one big great paradox. So the mindset's got to completely change. The mindset has got to go from, okay, I feel uncomfortable and I need to do something about this. I need to seek some sort of comfort to make this go away. The mindset needs to go from that to, okay, give me your best. Give me your best shot. I'm willing to see this thing through. I'm willing to have that thought. I'm willing to have this feeling. I'm not seeking any sort of comfort. I'm doing the opposite of worry, and I'm just telling myself with that accepting inner voice, okay, let's do this thing while living my life. That is the two main keys. That's always been the two main keys. The two main keys will never change, right? Live your life. Those positive behaviors help prove to the brain that there's no real danger. And while you're living your life, have that accepting inner voice. Okay, I'm willing to feel this way. If that thought wants to be there, that's fine. If that feeling wants to be there, that's fine. Maybe more of the aggressive approach. Give me your best shot. Bring it on, right? Anything that says, I'm not worried. I'm doing the opposite of worry, right? Now, that might not feel very natural to you at first. That might not feel very comfortable. That might not feel like a lot of things at first, but it's still very much the practice that we must indulge in, right? Because it's all a great paradox. It's all a great paradox. The more you fight against the thoughts and feelings, the more the brain says, oh God, there's a problem. Give them more. Right? One big great paradox. You and your brain are not on the same page, right? You and your brain are not on the same page. So more you worry about the thoughts and feelings, the more the brain says, oh God, there's some sort of danger. Let's help my person. How do I help my person as a brain? As a brain, I give them more protection chemicals, aka anxiety. Okay, now you're starting to feel very uncomfortable, so you do even more worry. You do even more comfort seeking. You do even more of this blah, 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 blah. Right? So the brain says, oh God, there's even more danger now. What do I do as a brain? I give my person more protection chemicals. You get more protection chemicals. You see how this is one big cycle. One big cycle. So recovery is really a great big old paradox, right? You're willing to go into discomfort, right, to as much as you can be. Now, I know it's a practice, and I know nobody's perfect, but you're willing to go into discomfort without seeking comfort, because the comfort seeking is actually just bringing more discomfort in the long run, right, in the long run. So you see the cycle. You see how the brain learns. You see how the brain operates. It doesn't do this to purposely screw you over. It does this because it doesn't know any better. Right? So now you got to start speaking its language. Now you got to say, okay, I know the more I worry about these thoughts and feelings and the more I give them importance and the more I get up here and fight with them and try to solve them and stop living my life, the more I do all that, the more the brain just wants to continue to help me. And it's one big great paradox, one big great cycle. There we go. I finally got my words out. Big great cycle where you and your brain are not on the same page. Okay? So that is how seeking comfort is actually causing more discomfort. So Whew, that was the point of tonight's stream, guys. Make sure you give it a like. Prince, right on time, dude. Thank you for the $10 tip coming in. Your timing, man, couldn't have been any better. Just finished up the point of the stream, man. Thank you, Prince, for the $10 tip, dude. Let's give them a round of applause in the chat tonight. I appreciate it, man. Like I said, guys, if you did enjoy tonight's stream, make sure you leave it a thumbs up. It really does help the channel grow. And just to kind of sum the point of the stream up one last time, it is a great paradox, man. It is a great paradox. The more you worry about the thoughts and feelings, the more the brain assumes that there is a danger and that you need more protection chemicals, right? And that is how, in the end, seeking comfort is actually causing discomfort. All right, you guys, we're going to head on over to the post stream. Thank you so much again, Prince, for the $10 tip, man. I really appreciate you. We're going to get some music going tonight, guys. Hope you all have been doing well. Hope you all have been doing swell. I know we got Sanchez over here trying to rest and recover, man. I hope you make a full recovery. I know you will. Let's get that music going. We got to sit through an ad real quick. Hey, what's up, Red? How you doing? Absolutely agree with you, Callie. Very good topic. I appreciate that, Sanchez. All right, let's see about this music. I believe we've got it now. I know you're on the Discord, Prince. I need to toss you that badge now. You've earned it. Let me do that right now, actually, because I will forget. I will forget if I don't do it now. All right, you should have that sweet, sweet donator badge now. You should have it now, my friend. Thank you for that. This was a great one, Wonder Bro. Appreciate that, Edward. Thank you, dude. Thank you. Well, see, that's the thing, Edward. I know it feels a lot like throwing yourself to the wolves when you have these strong symptoms. Let me turn this music. I don't want to fight with trying to talk over the music here. I know it feels like throwing yourself to the wolves when you have these strong symptoms, these strong thoughts, these strong feelings. It feels like a leap of faith when you say to yourself, okay, I'm not going to seek any sort of comfort, right? I'm just going to let these thoughts and feelings play out. I'm going to keep that accepting inner voice. Instead of doing so much worry, I'm going to keep that accepting inner voice, and I'm going to live my life, right? That doesn't feel natural. That feels like, oh my God, I'm taking a huge leap of faith. Oh my God, I am throwing myself to the wolves here. But see, once you start to learn how the anxiety game is played, maybe you'll gain some confidence. We know that the anxiety game is played in one way. Anxiety's job is to say, hey, you're in trouble, boss. Let me give you all these thoughts and feelings. And then anxiety says, okay, if these thoughts and feelings get you to worry, then there must be a real danger, and I'm going to continue giving you these thoughts and feelings, right? That's anxiety's game. That's anxiety's job. So your job, right? Your job is to have the accepting inner voice instead and let these things just naturally play out, because you're not going to prolong the cycle any further. Right now, this feels like a huge leap of faith, because that means you got to cut out the worry. You got to cut out the safety nets of compulsions and coping methods. Two main keys: live your life, and while you live your life, have that accepting inner voice. Sometimes we word the two main keys in different ways just to speak to everybody, but they always come back to those same two things. Live your life and have that accepting inner voice. Don't fight with the thoughts and feelings mentally. Have the accepting inner voice while you have productive days, right? That'll always be the two main keys. It's always been the two main keys. We just use different terms from time to time to try to make it make sense to everybody. But you see now, right? You see now why that is the way that it is, because it's one great big paradoxical cycle, right? Well, the thing about it is, Kate, when you do your accepting reminders, it's a reminder not to fight, right? It's a reminder not to fight. Now, some people say, is that a fight? Well, if you don't do your accepting reminders, chances are you're going to fight. You tell me which is worse. Ooh. That's a good question. So some people do feel guilty. Oh, I gotta use the accepting inner voice quite a lot, Wonder Bro, or else I start worrying and I start fighting. And I say, well, why do you feel ashamed about that? Because if you weren't using the accepting inner voice, even if you have to quite often at first, what else would you be doing if you weren't using that accepting inner voice? I'll tell you what you would be doing if you weren't using it. You would be fighting in a very miserable state. Right? So you tell me which is worse, right? You tell me which is worse. That is a common pitfall that people fall into. I feel guilty for having to use so many accepting reminders. And I say, well, if you weren't using accepting reminders, what would you be doing? Well, I'd be obsessing and fighting and worrying, right? So the accepting reminders is not something you have to feel guilty about. And the reason that using, these accepting inner voice, right, this accepting inner voice, the reason that might feel like a bit of a fight for you at first is because you're not used to it. It's not natural. It doesn't come without effort. There takes a lot of effort there. So that in itself feels like, man, I feel like I'm fighting here. Well, you're breaking a bad habit, and that's going to feel like a fight. But you're not fighting the anxiety when you use the accepting inner voice. You're fighting your own bad habit. Is that a better way to put it? Does that kind of ease your mind there? You're not fighting anxiety when you have to use the accepting inner voice over and over, right? You're fighting your own bad habit. Does that make more sense? Does that kind of ease your mind on that? So I guess in a way you might be fighting something, but when you use the accepting inner voice, it's not the thoughts or feelings you're fighting, it's your own bad habit of fighting. Right? So I appreciate that, Ghost, reminding everybody to like the stream. It does help the channel grow. Oh, there's a lot of factors that go into making the practice not exactly the easiest thing in the world, right, Lucy? Whether it be indecision or whatever the case may be, but we still know our job. You still got your job, and the job still has to be accomplished, and the work still has to be done. We can say, oh, it's raining outside, I'll do it another day, or we can say, oh, I know what I want. I know what I want with my life. I know where I want to take my life. I know that I want my life back. So it might be raining outside, but there's no excuses, right? It's just, I've got my job. What is my job? Live my life, right? While I'm triggered. Use that accepting inner voice instead of fighting with the thoughts and feelings. Right? That's your job. That's the two main keys right there. And whether it's pouring the rain outside or not, we got a job to do. Because I want the end goal. I want the end goal enough that I'm going to do it whether it's pouring the rain outside or not. I can say it's hard, and it might be hard. Right? And some days it might be harder than others, but you've got a job to do. And that, this or that doesn't change the fact. Right? So motivate yourself. Motivate yourself. Motivate yourself. Absolutely, Prince. I agree, dude. Absolutely, 110%. 110%. So the panic anxiety is just adrenaline burning off. That's one way to look at it, as a release, Doesn't really matter how you decide to look at it. Hopefully it's rooted in acceptance, but that is one way to look at it. It is a release. It is a release. Every time you're triggered, it is a release. When you're triggered, the brain is going to see, do you start freaking out? Do you start adding the worry and the mental fighting, or do you use the two main keys? Do you just continue to have as much of a productive day as possible while you use an accepting inner voice, right? Or do you not? And, like Lucy said, there are contributing factors that make it difficult some days. But the amygdala, the limbic system, is very robotic. It's a machine, right? It doesn't really necessarily take these things into consideration. It doesn't say, okay, my person is having a tough time today because they're experiencing indecision, so maybe I'll take it easy on them. No, it's very robotic. It's very machine-like. It doesn't respect you in that way. It says, okay, if you worry over these thoughts and feelings, I'll assume there's a danger. I'll give you more protection chemicals. If you stop living and start going to the compulsions and laying in bed all day, and, there's nothing wrong with resting, but you get what I'm saying. While you're triggered, if you start to use compulsions and coping methods and all this, I'll assume there's a danger. I'll give you some more protection chemicals. It doesn't take into consideration, oh man, I've been really putting this person through it for so long. I need to give them a little bit of a break here. It's very robotic, right? So it doesn't respect you in that way. And you shouldn't respect it in that way. You need to turn the tables here. You need to start bullying the bully. Anxiety wants to come in, and it wants to get you to worry over these thoughts and feelings. And if it accomplishes that goal, it'll give you more anxiety, right? But instead, if you turn the tables and say, give me your best shot, I'm not going to go down the worry route. I'm just going to use my accepting inner voice, maybe even more of an aggressive accepting inner voice. Give me your best shot with these thoughts and feelings. Stay as long as you'd like, and then you go get the dishes done, right? Now we're bullying the bully. Now the bully is going to say, well, damn, I don't got really much to go off here, right? It's going to take some time for the bully to learn to back off. We're kind of touching more on the aggressive approach right now, but it's going to take some time for that bully to back off, but it's going to be like, damn, I've got nothing to go on. I got nothing to go on. They're turning the tables on me here. Normally when they have these thoughts and feelings, they're begging for them to stop. But today they woke up and said, give me your best shot. And now they're triggered as fuck, but they're in there getting shit done. What's happening, right? And you're not giving anxiety anything to go off of anymore. And it takes time for it to back off, but you see, now you're turning the tables, man. Now you're turning the tables. You're taking your own life back. You're taking your own life into your own hands, and you're really taking responsibility, right, for this thing that you, of course, not on purpose, but this thing that you've created, right? And of course, that was kind of give me your best shot and everything like that, kind of more the aggressive approach, but it doesn't matter. You can mix it up, switch it up, as long as you've got some sort of accepting inner voice that's not rooted in worry and you are living your life, then you've got it down, right? I must have missed your comment. Wonderbro said play the Miami Vice music. That was a pretty good playlist, wasn't it? Let's see if I can find it. I think this is it. We're going to have to sit through a quick ad, but I think this is it. 1 second, chat. We're going to try to get this music going. Is this what you wanted, Sanchez? Have I given the people what they want? What is the difference between being dedicated to acceptance and being obsessed about acceptance? Well, if you're obsessed about anything, you're probably worried about it, right? So if you're worried about acceptance, right, then you're worried. Let's drop the word obsessed because sometimes it can get complicated. Let's just use the word worry. So are you worried about acceptance, as in do you wake up every day and freak yourself out over it? Right? Worry, 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 worry. Same thing you do over anxiety. It's all the same thing. Or do you wake up and just use acceptance, right? Okay, I got 2 keys to use. I'm going to give myself some accepting self-talk today. I'm going to have a productive day regardless. Which route do you kind of take with that? Hell yeah, brother. It is catchy, dude. I like it. It is very catchy. Very, very catchy. Here recently, we've been kind of wording it as, do you talk yourself up or do you talk yourself down? Right? That's another way that we've kind of been wording it. Do you talk yourself up or do you talk yourself down? Do you let yourself get carried away with the worry about these thoughts and feelings, or do you talk yourself up instead? Right? So we've also worded it like this in the past. We've said that we don't use the word fight here. We don't agree with the word fight here. Of course, we don't want to be fighting anything. But if we had to use the term fight, we would say that you're fighting your bad habit of fighting, right? Mentally. So just a couple ways that we've kind of worded in the past that might help somebody understand what we're trying to say here. Many, many different ways you can word this thing. Let's see, I'm going to share some links in the chat. I'm slow tonight. I'm slow tonight, but there we go. Finally. Finally.
Donation.
Mindy with the $10 tip. Round of applause, man. Says, hey, Wonder Bro, I just caught COVID last week. I noticed my anxiety, impending doom feelings went away completely. But now that I'm feeling better, my anxiety's back. I notice every time I get sick, my anxiety leaves, but it comes back when I'm better. Funny thing. Let me try to explain that. You might have an moment. Okay. Right? You might have an moment here. So, Mindy says, every time she's sick, her anxiety tends to go away almost completely, she said. Now, that isn't the case for a lot of people, especially with health anxiety. But in Mindy's case, she says that every time she's sick, her anxiety tends to go away completely. So in her case, we can say what? We can say what is going on in her case? Well, she's too preoccupied with being sick to be worried about anxiety. Oof. Let's say that again. So in Mindy's case, which I know is not the case for everybody, but in Mindy's case, she's too preoccupied with being physically sick to be worried about her anxiety and her thoughts, right, and her feelings. Instead, she's so focused and preoccupied with being sick, she doesn't have time in her reality, in her world, the way she sees it. She doesn't have time to be so worried about anxiety itself, doesn't have time to be so worried about intrusive thoughts. Right? All the focus and intention is on being sick and wishing to feel better, physically sick, right? So it just kind of goes to show you. It just kind of goes to show you that we can't, you can't be sick for the rest of your life in order to heal from anxiety. Obviously, that's not realistic, but it just goes to show you that when you take your mindset and switch it from being worried about thoughts and feelings and just having an open, I'm open to the thoughts and feelings. In this case, it's because you're so preoccupied with something else, right? But you can do that even without being sick. That's my main point here. I'm jabbering on. That's what I'm trying to get to. That's what I'm trying to say. So preoccupied with feeling sick that you can't even be worried about anxiety. You can't even be worried about the thoughts. You can't even be worried about the feelings. You're just so preoccupied with something else. Now we got to get you to do that when you're not sick. Now, when you're not sick, we got to get you to have an attitude of not caring about the anxiety. Now, when you're not sick, we got to get you to work on a mindset of not caring about the thoughts and feelings. How do you work on that attitude of not caring about the thoughts and feelings even when you're not sick, right? By building that accepting inner voice. Oof. Oof. So I hope that kind of explains to you, why it works that way. I can almost guarantee that's why it works that way for you. You start worrying about the thoughts and feelings when you're not sick because you're not preoccupied. Now, I'm not saying you got to spend your life trying to be occupied with something in order to heal from anxiety. I'm saying you can have that whether you're sick or occupied or not, right? You can work on that accepting inner voice whether you're feeling great or feeling sick. So I hope that kind of proves to you what we've been saying about how, it's all about that second fear. What is second fear? Worry, right? You're too busy being sick, you can't worry as much. So therefore, you don't have as much anxiety. We got to get you to do that even when you're not sick, though. We got to get you to work on that accepting inner voice even when you're not preoccupied. All right, good comment. I appreciate that. And I also appreciate the $10 tip, Mindy. Have you guys also in chat, have you ever noticed that this happened to me a few times during my recovery? I could be pretty sensitized on some days, and something will happen, right? And I don't know how many people are in here, but I want to see if anybody agrees with this because I'm trying to prove a point. Something would happen, like during my days in the real world, not just in my mind and body, but something in the real world would happen that would take my attention, right? And I would be so focused on trying to solve this real thing that happened, I wouldn't have as much time to be worried about the thoughts or feelings. And therefore, I noticed that anxiety seemed very small, or it at least seemed not as significant to me, right? Because I'm trying to solve this real thing in the real world. So do you see how it's all about not worrying over those thoughts and feelings, aka having that accepting inner voice instead, right? And then when things do come along that force you to do less worry, because you're too preoccupied, you start to see better results. Well, now I'm trying to teach you that it's unrealistic to think that you're always going to have something to preoccupy you in order to reach that state of acceptance. That's unrealistic. We got to get you to reach that state of acceptance whether you're occupied or not occupied, right? And, I believe that's why Claire Weeks mentions, maybe get lost in occupation at first. It can help a little bit, but sooner or later, you got to reach the point that whether you're occupied or not, right? Thank you, Mindy. I will read that tip note in just a second. Thank you. You got to reach that point that whether you're occupied or not, you're still not doing as much worry over these thoughts and feelings. How? By catching when you do that worry, turning it into the accepting inner voice, and living your life. The two main keys. That's how, right? Now, we got some tips to read off here. We got a $20 tip coming in from Lucy, the $20 tip. Thank you so much, Lucy. Screen name Lucy. Thank you so much for the $20 tip. That takes us to $40 for tonight's tip goal. Mindy coming in right behind that with a $5 tip. That's $15 total for Mindy. Mindy, thank you so much. Round of applause to all of our tippers tonight, man. Mindy says, I think you're correct. I'm extremely obsessed and focused on sickness when I'm sick. I never really put the two together. It might be part of my obsessive compulsive disorder. I focus all my energy on one thing at a time. So it just goes to show you, it's just more proof that when you're focused and obsessed about anxiety, the thoughts and feelings, and you're worried about them, you get more because you're sending those danger signals. But when you're so preoccupied with something else that you're not really worried, right, because you're too busy dealing with something else, it kind of goes to show you start to take the edge off anxiety. So, but like I said, it's unrealistic to think that you can be occupied with something for the rest of your life in order to heal. At some point, we got to learn that you can spot the worry and cut the worry out, even if it takes a lot of effort, a lot of accepting reminders, as we call it, right? You can spot the worry and eliminate the worry and live your life. The two main keys right there, You can do that whether you're occupied with something or not. So thank you again for the comment. It just goes to prove to you that, when you drop the worry, you start to heal, right? And you do drop the worry when you're occupied, it seems. But we got to get you to do that. We got to get you to catch that worry, use the accepting inner voice, and live your life even when you're not occupied, right? Yes, absolutely. Thank you, tippers. We don't have a huge packed chat tonight, I guess because we're streaming at such an odd time. It's a little late, but just know that we are also grateful for you guys. Wonderbread question, since we're on the topic, I haven't been feeling anxiety, but can the body still give physical symptoms and no anxiety? Did I say it right? I think what you're meaning is it memory of the body. It might be, you might be meaning that you have physical symptoms, but it's not causing such a fear alarm. Is that a good way to put it? Which is a good sign to me that your nerves are starting to heal. It's the same concept as you can have intrusive thoughts, but it not have a fear alarm attached to it. A good sign that your nerves are starting to heal. Does that make sense? So it's a good sign the nerves are starting to heal because you can still have intrusive thoughts and physical symptoms, but if you're not reacting to them the way that you used to, if you're not popping off with so much second fear, it's a good sign that you're on the right track. It's a good sign that you're learning the advice. It's a good sign that you're losing your fear. It's a good sign that the nerves are probably not as tired. They're not causing as much of an alarm over these thoughts and feelings, right? It's all the same concept. Nothing changes with the advice, whether you're experiencing a ton of anxiety attached with these things or not. Nothing changes, so that's the good news. It doesn't ever have to be complicated, but it's a good sign, in my opinion. Of course. Let's see here. Lucy coming in, man. Lucy coming in with another $5 tip, says, had to help reach tip goal. Well, we did just that. Thank you so much, Lucy, for the $5 tip. We are moving on to a 96. Read it out loud, chat. A 96-day streak. I appreciate it, guys. Great stream tonight, man. Great stream tonight. I really do appreciate that. Thank you so much. Man, that's crazy. We are 4 days away from a 100-day streak. That is insane. That is insane. Insane. Full perfect for me, though, so it's good for people from Asia and Australia. Gotcha, the times, okay. Gotcha. But yeah, I know these questions are interesting more than they are anything else, right, Sanchez? The questions of why this works the way it works. They're interesting more than anything else, but at the end of the day, I never want you to forget that the two main keys don't change. Whatever it is you're experiencing that's anxiety related, okay? I'm experiencing a ton of alarms. I'm experiencing few alarms. I'm experiencing thoughts, but they're not coming with such an alarm anymore. Whatever it is you're experiencing in your journey, I want you to understand that, yes, answering these questions can make for an interesting topic, but at the end of the day, guess what? Two main keys don't change. I want you to remember that. Mindy, thank you again, Mindy. Another $5 tip. Wow, thank you, Mindy. Says, but Wonder Bro, it's not a purpose. If I could purposely shift my anxiety and focus on something else to make the anxiety go away, I would. So instead, I just really try and accept these anxious feelings that just pops back up when I feel healthier. So I wanna just touch on that just a little bit. You say it's not on purpose that I obsess and worry over my anxiety. Well, I don't want to be rude and say yes, it is, but I do want to say it's a habit, right? I'm not going to be rude and say yes it is because I understand what a knee-jerk strong habit that is. So I'm not going to be rude, but I am going to say that is a habit, and I want you to understand that because I want to help you, right? So it is a habit when your focus is on worrying over these thoughts and feelings. That's where the work comes into play, right? And I know it does feel kind of not on purpose, right? Just because the habit is so strong. I get that. I get that it kind of feels not on purpose. But at the end of the day, it still is a habit, and habits can change. So when you do find yourself in the moment, worried over your thoughts and feelings, that's when you catch it, and that's when you use the accepting inner voice. And you might have to rinse and repeat that quite a bit, but it's sure a heck of a lot better than going down the rabbit hole, right? It's a heck of a lot better than going down the rabbit hole, isn't it? A heck of a lot better. So I know it doesn't feel on purpose, but it is a habit at the end of the day. You got to catch it. You got to use those accepting little reminders instead of going down that rabbit hole. You might have to rinse and repeat them quite a bit, and then you get back into living. This is how you score the points. And you do have to rinse and repeat that quite a bit, and that's where people kind of fall off because they're like, man, that's a lot of work. But, good things take a little bit of work, right? So, yes, you're right. When you say it doesn't feel on purpose. I know it doesn't feel on purpose, but it is a habit, right? And that's where doing the work comes into play. Worry is basically a habit, right? You can't control what thoughts and feelings you have, but you can control the worry you attach to them. And that's when you catch it and turn it into accepting, right? Accepting reminders, accepting inner voice. Live your life. 2 seconds later, you might start worrying again. Nope. Cut that shit out. Let's change that to a nice little accepting reminder instead of going down the worry route, which is the fight route, and let's get back to living, right? Take some work, take some rinse and repeating. Take some work, take some rinse and repeating. I would say the same way that you've been dealing with the anxiety, JT. So don't be so quick to throw the label of depression on yourself either. That's a very self-defeating label. I wouldn't be so quick to use it. It's just very self-defeating. Chase, dude. Chase with the $20 tip, man. Chase coming in with the $20 tip. So not only have we retch tip goal tonight, guys, but we have broke tip goal. We're moving on to 75. Thank you, guys. I appreciate you, man. Round of applause for Chase in the chat. Round of applause for all of our tippers tonight, guys. Thank you so much. Having major relationship problems, and we decided to take a week break. I am sad. That happens, right? That happens. What more can you say than that happens? And that might not be the response you were hoping to hear, but that is life. Sometimes our relationships doesn't work out. Sometimes things we had hoped for doesn't go the way that we had planned for them to go. Sometimes we're met with disappointment. Sometimes we're met with breakups. Sometimes we're met with these issues. So what more is there really to say besides that happens? And how do you kind of go about this? What's a good way to go about this at this point now that it has happened? Catch the worry, just like you do with anxiety. If you're sitting around, you're feeling your feelings. It's okay to feel your feelings. You should be feeling your feelings. I'm upset over my breakup. Okay, feel it. Accept it. Accept the thoughts, accept the feelings, but don't add the worry. So, for example, you're accepting that you feel grief over the fact that you just had a breakup. You're accepting that you're having intrusive thoughts over the breakup. But you're not going the worry route. You're not going the fighting route, just the accepting route. So, example, you're sitting there feeling all sorts of sadness. You're having intrusive thoughts about the breakup. You know, you get a thought that says, oh, what if she never comes back? You can accept that you had the thought. You can accept that the thought made you feel a certain way, but you don't get in your head and start saying, oh, God, why did I have that thought? Oh, God, what if that does happen? And if it does happen, then I'll never find love ever again. You see what I'm saying? So if you go that route, ooh, misery times 10. But if you just accept the base feeling, the base thought, the base feeling, the base thought, but you don't go adding the misery, right? Because you catch it. You catch that habit of adding the misery and you turn it into acceptance over and over again, right? If you do that long enough, eventually you're going to allow these thoughts and feelings to happen. The fire is going to start to burn out, right? You're not adding extra fuel on the fire. So you see why I say this advice is good life advice and not just good anxiety advice? That's exactly why I say that for situations and examples like the one that you're in. And everything I just said could apply to you too, JT. Right, with the situation you're in. And you said, I accept whatever happens. I'm just sad. I'm not worried. I have no regrets. Well, then you're great, man. Great. I don't see no problems then. I don't see no problems. You see how, we're allowed to have thoughts and feelings, but people just turn it into misery? Do you see what we're talking about now, chat? Do you see how you're allowed to have thoughts and feelings? You're allowed to live life, but we turn it into misery with the worry habit, right? So you're allowed to be sad over having a breakup because that's called being human. You're allowed to feel those feelings. You're allowed to have those feelings. You're allowed to have intrusive thoughts about it. But do you see how you can turn that into misery, which is unnecessary? Right? So there's a difference between feeling and having thoughts, which I know can be uncomfortable to say the least, but there's a difference between that and true suffering. True suffering comes when we grab the gas can and start pouring it on the fire with the worry habit. And when I say worry, I simply mean fighting. I'm mentally fighting, right? There's a big difference between feeling your thoughts and feelings and suffering. You start to dabble in the realm of suffering when you start to get in your head over these thoughts and feelings and adding to the fire. That's when you start to really play around in the realm of suffering, right? Otherwise, you're just uncomfortable. And I know you're very uncomfortable. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to play this lightly here. I understand that, but I think you get where I'm going with this. Breakup, in my time, call me up my plan B or C. Not very healthy. Okay, you're saying, you crack me up, Sanchez. You're saying it's not on purpose that the anxiety goes away when you're sick. Yeah, I agree with you there, too. I agree with you there. It's just you're so preoccupied that you're not doing the worry habit, right? Does that make sense? So I agree with you there, too. So either way, we're still on the same page. It's not on purpose that the anxiety goes away when you're sick. It just kind of happens. Well, it just kind of happens because you're so preoccupied that you don't even realize that you're not doing the worry habit, right? So it's because, something else has fully got your attention. We got to learn that we can do this with the accepting inner voice, even if something else does not fully have our attention, right? So we're still on the same page. We had a bit of a miscommunication there, but still the same point. It's not on purpose because you're so preoccupied that you don't even realize you're not worrying as much, and as a result feeling less anxiety. But we got to realize that we can do this. We can do this even when we're not so preoccupied. How do we? It takes more work, but it's that accepting inner voice. Been feeling down, confusing, if it's part of anxiety. So feeling down, feeling a bit of brain fog, some people call that confusion, all very normal symptoms of anxiety. Of course, I can't diagnose anybody, but I will say those are all very normal symptoms of anxiety. I can say that. Not everything that is faced can be changed, but nothing can be changed until it is faced. Love it, Kate. Kate with the big boy quotes tonight. I believe even Eckhart Tolle touches on that, Mindy. And this is, when I address somebody by their name in chat, I'm still speaking to all of you because this is good advice. I believe Eckhart Tolle even touches on how getting into a hobby can help you, what he calls be more present, which I call stop fighting with your thoughts and feelings, stop the worry habit, right? He calls it be more present, whatever. Don't get lost on terms, but my point is he even touches on the fact that having a hobby can help you do that. But he also touches on the fact, the same as what I've done tonight, is that you can't always rely on being occupied or having a hobby. So we got to learn to do this without those things. We got to learn to catch ourselves going down the worry rabbit holes and turning that into an accepting reminder. We got to learn to do that even without being occupied and having, all that. Hey, thank you for that, man. I appreciate that. I think we'd be awesome friends in real life, too. I agree with you, Ford. I agree with you. Brain fog sounds like a pretty good way to describe what you're feeling there. Now, you got a choice, man. You're going to catch that worry about it and turn it into accepting reminders, or you're going to do the worry all night. You're going to catch that worry, use an accepting reminder, and go right back to living. And you might have to rinse and repeat that quite a bit, right? Or are you going to do the worry all night? That is the question. Yes, this takes effort, guys. This takes effort. I'm not going to lie to you, but every single one of you are completely capable. And you will have ups and downs. You will have practice, It's all a part of it. Wonder Bro, you're like the handsome version of Temple. I don't know who that is, but you said it's a compliment, so I'm going to take that compliment and say thank you. Even though I am not sure who that is. Haven't seen that Russian bot yet. Yeah, I know. Maybe he's not here. Maybe he doesn't need the anxiety advice anymore. He's going to pop up any second now just because you said that. I guarantee it. Absolutely, David. Absolutely. How does that old saying go? This too shall pass, right? It's very cliche. I never really use that. I have. Sorry, I almost got choked. I have a time or two. Like, I think I've actually done streams with that in the title. I don't use it a whole lot because it's kind of super cliche, but it's true. It's true. If you're not a fan of the aggressive reminders, maybe you can use that as your kind of reminder. This will pass, right? I accept this. I accept this thought and feeling. It'll pass. You can mix it up. Get creative. Use whatever accepting reminders you want. Be more aggressive. Be more neutral. Mix it up. Have a mix of the two. I don't care as long as you stay out of the worry rabbit holes, right? As long as you're catching that worry and turn it into some sort of acceptance, I don't really care what you do, but, that is a very true, kind of cliche, but still very, very true little quote there. You might remember me as the guy who annoyed the hell out of you in 2019, 2020. I don't like to say that anybody's ever annoyed me here on the channel because that's not fair. I understand what you guys are going through, and yes, sometimes I have to repeat myself quite often. Maybe you're going through the thick of it and I have to answer the same question over and over. That's okay. I don't get annoyed. I can control myself. I don't get annoyed. I understand what you guys are going through, right? I got to be able, to relate. I got to think, hey, you were once there too. You know how it feels. You can't get annoyed. That's not right. So, I don't get annoyed. I do my best. But I'm just going to start calling you Blake, by the way. Is that cool? Can I just call you Blake from now on? If that's cool, I'll do that. I feel like that, this is a little off topic, but I feel like that happens more often than it should. And I'm not going to lie to you, I have my moments or whatever, but, that's just a part of being human. But I feel like a lot of people, and I don't really know any specifics, but I feel like a lot of people, when they reach the point of healing, right, and they come out of this thing and they're not in the thick of it anymore, it's easy for them to forget what it felt like to be there, right? And if you forget what it felt like to be there and you don't remind yourself, okay, look, dude, put yourself in their shoes for a second. You've been there, right? If you don't take a second to do that and you're trying to give people advice, you might come off as a dick, to be honest. And sometimes I am a bit like straightforward and in your face because I want to teach. But I'm talking about people that just come off as straight douchebags, right? I don't understand that. Like you gotta take a second to put yourself in their shoes. You gotta remind yourself, look, you've been there. You know how it is. You know how it is. Somebody mentioned the word meditation. Anytime I see the word meditation, I want to point out that let's not get lost on terms. Meditation is a big fancy term. If you're using the two main keys, you're doing all the above, right? Let's just put it all in the same bucket. Mindfulness, meditation, acceptance, all this other helpful terms and stuff. Put it all in the same bucket. If you're using the two main keys, you're doing all the above, right? You're catching the worry habit, using accepting reminders, living your life. You're doing all those things. If you're using the two main keys, you're being more present. You're using mindful. You're doing all that stuff, right? And the only reason I like to make that clear is because sometimes people get caught up on terms a little bit. So I just like to make that super, super clear. Super, super clear. Good stream tonight, guys. I feel like we tackled some good topics here. What we need to realize though, Ford, although I agree with your comment, what we need to realize though is what sends you back into the cycle is not so much the feelings and thoughts you're experiencing, but rather the worry that you do over them. So I just want to point that out. I want to point that out because you can experience low mood, brain fog, fatigue, all these things. And if you don't go down the worry route over them, you catch that worry, turn it into the accepting inner voice, and live your life, the two main keys, right? If you dedicate to that, you do not have to be sent back into some sort of vicious cycle. So I just want to point that out. And I know it's easier said than done. I'm not trying to take anything from you guys. It takes a lot of effort. I know that when you're sitting with some pretty intense thoughts and feelings, it can be easier said than done to not go the worry route and to instead catch that worry and use those accepting reminders. I know it can be easier said than done. I'm not taking that from you. I know, man, I know it takes effort. I know you got to stay on top of things, right? I get that. I get that completely. But, even though it takes a ton of effort, sometimes you got better days, some days are better than others. Even though all these things are true, the way this game is played does not change regardless of all those factors, right? It doesn't change anything. Doesn't change the facts, man. Just doesn't change the facts that, yes, this advice does take effort. Well, that doesn't change the fact that, you start doing the worry, you go into a cycle. That's just fact, baby. That's just fact. I wish I annoyed him. My life would be complete. See, I know that is your main objective here, Kate, and that's why I can't let you accomplish that. You guys like my evil villain laugh? Anytime someone gets banned for being a D-bag. All right, you beautiful people, man. Chat's starting to wind down a little bit. We just reached that 1 hour mark. We're going to get our song ready, man, because we definitely deserve our song tonight. Great stream. Are we going to have to sit through an ad? I don't know. I don't think so. Anyway, guys, we are going to start to wind it up here, man. I really do appreciate you guys watching tonight. It's been a good one. And you're fine, David. By the way, you're fine, David. In fact, I like when people mention that word because it gives me an opportunity to teach about these terms and labels. So you're fine. In fact, I like that you made that comment. So anyway, guys, thank you for watching tonight, man. Absolutely, thank you for the tip goal, dude. That is absolutely amazing. I love you guys so much. Make sure you leave a thumbs up if you enjoyed tonight's stream. And like we always say, I hope you enjoyed it, but most importantly, I hope you take something from it and use it. I love you guys. Have a great night. Have a great day wherever you're watching from. And until next time, you beautiful, beautiful, beautiful people. I love you, and stay awesome.
I'm a stone cold killer, I'm a billionaire. I got my own gold digger. If I wasn't this way, I'd rather die. Did it die? Yeah. Did it die? Did it die? I'm a stone cold killer, I'm a billionaire. I got my own gold digger. If I wasn't this way, I'd rather die. Did it die? Wait. Did it die? Wait. Did it die?
Whatever you want, I'll be whatever you want. Just tell me you love me or not, whatever it costs. I know I'm talking a lot, there's something I gotta get off. Don't wanna be this no more, I don't wanna drink no more. Always gotta do the most, thinking that I'm insecure. Really should've listened more, but I don't, of course. I'm an asshole, I'm a good guy, I'm your best friend, I'm the worst type. Tell you everything that you heard right, just so I can fuck on the first night. Feel like I'm losing hope, running from coast to coast. I don't know where to go, this all I've ever known.
I'm a stone cold killer, I'm a billionaire. I got my own gold digger. If I wasn't this way, I'd rather die.
No.
Did it die?
Wait.
Did it die?
Wait.
Did it die? I'm a stone cold killer, I'm a billionaire. I got my own gold digger. If I wasn't this way, I'd rather die.
Won't die.
Did it die?
Wait.
Did it die?
Wait.
Did it die?
My aunt think I'm perfect, I know I'm not. My mama be worried, I told her stop. They know I did drugs and think that I'm off. Little do they know I never could stop. My manager hate when I'm pulling up late. Back on my bullshit, she think it's a phase. I got relations I gotta maintain. I'm two different people, my side and my main. Yeah, I'm sober, I'm an addict, I'm a lowlife, I got habits, but I refuse to be average. Really so tired of acting, don't know what I miss no more. Too bad you don't hit me more. I'm bad when I get too bored, careful what you wishing for.
I'm a stone cold